welcome back to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. My goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality as well as content so you can make the best choices for your family and yourself as to whether or not you want to spend your time and money watching a specific movie. So the specific movie I'm reviewing today is called Assault on VA-33. Also known as Assault on Station 33. I've been finding it listed both ways. This action flick is available on April 2nd, 2021 on DVD and streaming, as well as on Fandango Now and iTunes. It's rated R, it's an hour and 29 minutes, and I'm gonna give you my movie review mom grade at the very end of my review. I'm gonna give you an overview in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, and even recommendations for other movies that I think that you'll also like. In this case, it's kind of a no-brainer. So let's get started. In a nutshell, if the title has you wondering what that is all about, here's the scoop. VA-33 is the name of a Veterans Administration hospital, which is where the movie takes place. The movie claims to be Die Hard on steroids. Well, not quite, more like a Die Hard wannabe. It's a cheesy action flick on a very low budget, but it's still fairly entertaining. And if you have been dying to see something like Die Hard, then you might get a kick out of it. It's directed by Christopher Ray and written by Scott Thomas Reynolds. The studio's summary of the movie is: decorated veteran and PTSD sufferer Jason Hill meets his wife Jennifer for lunch at the Veterans Affairs Hospital where she works. After Jennifer is called away for an emergency consultation with the head of the U.S. military's Joint Chiefs of Staff, the hospital is taken hostage by heavily armed terrorists. Jason becomes the last line of defense and must battle the terrorists and his own PTSD-induced demons to save his wife, the general, the hospital staff and patients, and his daughter, who's sitting out in a van during the entire time. Oh, I added that last part. So there were things that I really liked about the movie. First of all, I really do like Sean Patrick Flanery. In fact, he has been working really hard lately and pumping out quite a few movies. I recently reviewed a movie he did called Born a Champion, and I really liked him in that. In fact, I think I liked him better in that movie than this one, just because in that movie, he really gets a chance to flex his fighting muscles and show off his skills as a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He does a really great job in that movie. Now, the rest of the cast includes some very familiar faces that include Michael J. White, Mark Dacascos, Max Adler, and even pro wrestler Rob Van Dam. I'll talk about them a little bit more in just a minute. The movie takes place in Buffalo, New York, and is supposed to be in a very quiet area. And so these police just don't believe a report when someone calls and says, I think something's going down. And I'll talk about that some more in a minute too. The most entertaining action sequence by far is when Sean Patrick Flanery, who is a trained martial artist, exchanges blows and funny quips with Mark Dacascos. I haven't seen Max Adler in anything for quite a while, so it was fun to see him in this, and his character is just endearing immediately just because I think he as an actor is charming in the roles that he's played. Now, there were some things that I didn't like about the movie. First of all, there are quite a few bad, cringeworthy acting moments. Some of the action sequences, too, are so bad that you just might laugh out loud. For example, why bother having a pro wrestler in your movie, Rob Van Dam, and make his character just sit in a van during the entire movie? I'm like, what? He could have been used for some really interesting action sequences. And to that point, Michael J. White also has an impressive black belt pedigree, and he could have been better utilized with his own fighting skills. Instead, he shoots a gun a few times, but that's it. So there's all this talent in the cast that just went underutilized by far. There's a lot of bouncing back and forth on a timeline that might confuse some viewers, mostly as the lead character, Sean Patrick Flanery, has flashbacks to his PTSD moments. The daughter of Sean Patrick Flanery's character is just super unlikable. She's just a whiny teen. And in order for us to really care about her and even the mother, who spends the majority of the movie on the telephone, it would have been helpful to spend a little bit more time in Act 1 helping us get to know them and see their loving, playful personalities, but we don't. And so it's kind of like, well, I like Sean Patrick Flanery, but I don't know about these other two. The movie just looks cheap, and I recognize it was done on a very low budget, but there are moments where it just looks cheap. There's also one of the bad guys who's a woman who wears a little crop top and low waist black pants so that she can show off her very impressive abs. But I was just like, really? She's going to show up at this dangerous event looking like that? There are lots of scenes with people on telephones. And unlike Die Hard, there really isn't any humor to balance out the action and the drama. There is humor, and the humor that does exist just doesn't land, at least not for me. The most entertaining character, I think, was actually played by 𝗵𝗔𝘃𝗶𝗲. Maybe he pronounces it goodbye, I don't know, but just because his character was ridiculous and he kind of made me snicker a few times. There are some very serious plot holes in the story with some really bad dialogue, and it just wasn't written really well. It looked like it was rushed to get it out there. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for all of these studios that are working really hard to provide us with new movies constantly, but sometimes movies would definitely benefit, but with just a little bit more work and time. And then finally, please tell me that the police and the FBI aren't that apathetic and lazy. So it just was ridiculous. One of the plot holes is that John Patrick Henry's character is calling the cops saying something's going down at this hospital. And the FBI doesn't believe him. And the FBI should have been made aware that this high-ranking military official was visiting the hospital, right? So it seemed like there were some red flags that should have gone up, and everybody just disregarded them. And I just kind of rolled my eyes. Let me give you some tips for parents. There is a lot of profanity and F-bombs, but the real reason I would say that children shouldn't watch this movie is because it's actually really violent. You see a bloodied man get tortured. Another man is missing an arm. There's just a lot of violence with guns and knives, blood splatters, people die, lay in blood pools. And there are a lot of people who die actually, often by close range headshots. So that's just super gross. The themes that are worth talking about though are PTSD, hope, trust, and family. Whenever I watch movies, I write down the funny lines and the interesting lines so that I can share them with you, basically. And you can see them all written on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. But when I went back and looked at my notes, I didn't write down any funny lines, so that's not good. But I did write down an interesting line, or it's a series of 3 lines in a conversation that I'll share with you right now. So Weston Cage-Coppola plays Adrian Rabikov, a Russian bad guy. And he's talking to this military general, and he says to the general, are you not let's see if I can say it with a Russian accent. Are you not a terrorist? I can't do it. He says, are you not a terrorist, general? And then the general is played by Gerald Webb, and he says, I'm a patriot. And then the Russian says, and I am revenge. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so you want to know what movie review mom score I gave this movie? Drum roll. I gave it a C. And I think C generally means bad, but it really just means average, right? So it's kind of an average, forgettable movie. It might entertain you if you're in kind of a punchy mood and you want to be entertained. knowing ahead of time that this is not a blockbuster A movie by any stretch. So there you have it. Before I go, let me give you a couple recommendations. Of course, the first one is the actual movie Die Hard with Bruce Willis. It's a classic. So if you haven't seen that one, you definitely need to see that one. And then another brand new movie that just came out about a month or so ago is one called Run, Hide, and Fight. It's also called Run, Hide, Fight Back. I've seen it listed both ways. It's an action drama based on a school shooting, and it kind of has that same frenzied, panicked, try to survive and kill all the bad guys type of feeling to it. So you might get a kick out of that one. All right, that's it for my review today. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me, and be sure and comment down below. Of course, I would love for you to subscribe, and while you're at it, ring that little bell or click on that bell notification by the subscribe button, and it'll notify you every time I upload a new movie review or a trailer reaction. All right, until the next video, bye for now.